Rather than my normal recordings, I decided I'd just do a series of three over the Easter period, Good Friday, and on the Saturday and Sunday, just as more reflective, just as a reminder of the power of the cross and what Jesus did for us through the cross. It's a time of celebration, it's a time of reflection, and maybe it's a time for some just to stop and to realign life as well in different ways. But today I want to focus on a little bit of the journey of the cross. It's impossible to get it all in a few minutes, but just enough to get us thinking and to um, give us a basis of reflection. Today being Good Friday day, Jesus. It's remembered Jesus went to the cross. Now, when I was growing up, I remember in our home village and town there was you know a walk where people gathered from all the local churches, and a cross was carried, and there were prayer stations, and there was an amazing place on a local hill, Campeak, where the cross was put, and it stayed there for a few days, and as a visual reminder of what Jesus did. It's something that still goes on to this day. But when you look at the journey of the cross and what happened, it, there's, for example, in Luke's gospel, we can see some of the different aspects of it. So I'm just going to read actually the headlines, the headings in this version, just to give us a basis to think. I'm going to pick it up when Jesus predicts that Peter will deny him, and now this is in chapter 22, and yeah, Peter doesn't see that that's going to happen. Jesus goes on. He goes and prays at the Mount of Olives, and it comes to the point where he's betrayed and he's arrested. Now, a little reminder here, because this really is a very chaotic story, isn't it? There's a lot going on with the arrest, and we know that someone has an ear cut off, and there's denials going on, and all sorts of human emotions, and you you look at this and whole scene, and it is chaotic. It feels like it's out of control. It's difficult even at times to understand what's going on and the fullness of people's emotion in that. But when you stop and look at this and then add the other scriptures in, you realize that, like in Corinthians, as we share when we break bread, it says Jesus, you know, on the on the day that he was betrayed, at the time he was betrayed, took bread. And it actually doesn't mean that Jesus was somehow, what's the word, that he was on this journey and some people jumped out at him and he didn't expect it. But the actual core meaning of the word is on the night he was delivered up, on the night he gave himself up, that in the chaos, God is still in control. And I think, we live in a world where there's chaos everywhere. The world is a chaotic place, but there's a reminder there, even in the way Jesus went to the cross, Jesus was the calm in the storm. Jesus wasn't phased. He made a decision. It says, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. And that was part of the beauty, the incredible, I don't even know what the words you use really, but because it's brutal, but it's there is a beauty about what Jesus did for us. And this journey, it carries on, and we realize that Jesus, he goes before the council, he goes before Pontius Pilate, and you can read all that story, and it comes to the crucifixion. Even on the journey to the crucifixion, as he carried his cross, there was this interaction with people. Simon from Cyrene was dragged out of the crowd, and he was given the job of carrying the cross when Jesus could no longer have the strength to carry it. And he was made to carry it behind Jesus, and a large crowd followed. Some were full of grief, some were probably watching what happened, and Jesus comes to the cross. And there's a few words that he speaks on the cross as he's hanging there between, two robbers, two villains. You know, firstly, he looks at those and says, "Forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing." As the soldiers took his cloak and threw lots to see who'd win that, who'd get the prize of the day, that even in the moment of Jesus' death, there's people trying to win something, trying to take something. And he says to one of the criminals on one side, he said, "I assure you, today you'll be in paradise with me." And the journey carries on, but in the same control in the chaos that we experienced before. Jesus comes to the point, he says, "Father, I entrust my spirit into your hands." With that, he breathed his last. There was this whole thing of God was in control in the chaos. Now today, I just finished that story actually. He went on after that and he was buried. And we'll pick up that story. But today, I just want to encourage you, stop for a moment, think for a moment. When I became a Christian, I had no idea really about the cross. I just knew I needed God. But this is why I was able to find him, because of Jesus. If you know him, take time and reflect on what he's done for you. If you don't know him, can I encourage you, stop for a moment, think for a moment, and maybe take a few minutes just to spend with him and ask him, say, "God, this is a great prayer. If you're real, I want to know you exist." And he loves to answer that heartfelt prayer and impact your life. Bless you. Thank you for being with me on this Good Friday. Have a great rest of the day. There'll be another one of these for Saturday and one for Sunday, Easter Sunday as well. Bye for now.